What's up everyone, welcome back to more Reddit stories about Karens, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and as usual, let's get into today's Reddit posts. Healthcare professional ran out of my room screaming over a tattoo. A few days ago I had an MRI guided biopsy. While I was inside of the MRI machine, one of my healthcare professionals came into the room and then ran screaming out of the room because she has arachnophobia, and I have an unrealistic tattoo of a tarantula on my arm. To be clear, it's very unrealistic, albeit large. This caused a delay in my procedure. There was an unrelated second delay that kept me in the machine for almost 90 minutes. I was face down with both my arms over my head. After the procedure, both of my arms were painfully asleep. After the biopsy, I had to turn over to have them dress my incision site. One nurse held pressure on my incision, and the arachnophobia nurse didn't help me turn over even though she was told to twice. I was able to turn myself, but once I was about halfway turned, the nurse holding pressure on my incision could no longer reach it, and she had to tell the other nurse 3 times to grab it, so I could finish rolling over. I was extremely uncomfortable holding the position, waiting on the nurse to compose herself enough to grab my bleeding incision. The entire time the one nurse was dressing my incision, the other one just stood in the corner. I'm not sure if she was supposed to be doing anything else. I was frustrated by the day of the procedure, but I didn't address it, thanked them for their help, and went on my way. Today I got an email from the hospital asking how the visit went. I have had jobs in the past that were highly dependent on my customer surveys. I am generally very happy with my care at this facility. I don't have any phobias, so I don't know how hard of a struggle this is, and I don't know how much grace should be offered here. Would I be the asshole if I'm honest about what happened and leave an accurate review? I think OP should be honest in the review about what happened. I really doubt it's gonna get her in trouble or end her career or anything like that, and it would be in their best interest to know about this incident, because if her phobia is that crippling that it would stop her from doing her job, then they should know about it. And she really should have gotten someone else to step in for her in that situation with the way she reacted. So it definitely would be helpful in the future for the staff to be aware of her phobia and to work around it. Granted, this is a very specific situation that she could probably go years without running into again, given that it's a hospital or some kind of medical clinic. So it's probably not very often that she would come across spiders or depictions of spiders again. But nonetheless, it would definitely be helpful for the rest of the staff to be aware of. Truck driver demands I unload his truck. So long story short, I work for a factory. Part of my job is doing deliveries and pickups. One of my deliveries, which I do almost daily, is to one of our distributors. They have a fleet of vans and small trucks that will deliver anywhere in the city. As opposed to me, I only deliver to customers within a 20-minute drive of our factory. The distributor's warehouse is not always staffed. Their staff are all drivers, so sometimes I'll rock up when nobody is there. No big deal, they give all their regulars a code to get through the front door, and I'm a licensed forklift driver so I can unload my ute, pickup truck for you Yanks, and then drive off. I showed up yesterday. Nobody home, so I opened the roller door, got in the forklift, and unloaded my ute. As I'm unloading, a truck pulls up and the driver rolls down the window and asks me to unload. I told him, sorry mate, I don't work here. I'm almost done with the forklift, so you can unload it yourself. He demanded that I unload his truck because he's not a licensed operator, and he also needs me to sign for the delivery. I am not authorized to do that on their behalf, because again, I don't work there. Also, while I'm comfortable unloading my own truck, unloading someone else's is something I won't do. After all, I don't know what's on them, and if anything on the pallet gets damaged, I'm the one liable. So I told him no, that I was unable to do that. He started ranting about how kids these days are lazy and don't want to work. He's saying this as I'm actively doing my job, and threatens to call Greg, the owner of the distribution company, and have me fired. Apparently, he and Greg are old mates. Sure bro, you know Greg so well, yet you don't know how his business works? Totally believe you. Anyways, after some yelling, I gave up trying to explain to him that I do not work there, closed the roller door and locked up. He tried blocking my car with his truck, but the idiot misjudged the distance and I had space to get out through the side. I called Greg on my way back to the factory and told him what was going on. He said he was around the corner and would be there soon to deal with him. 8th grade history teacher embarrasses me and yells at me for educating her on the facts. My 8th grade history teacher was teaching my class about the Holocaust, and when asked by a student if any non-Jews were ever imprisoned, she said no. I told her that she was incorrect and explained that I knew for a fact that victims of the Holocaust also included gypsies, gays, lesbians, communists, etc. in the camps. I also said that I'm Jewish and my parents educated me on the subject, as I had family members die in the camps. I also said that I had personally seen the different armbands they made each group wear to differentiate them from one another in museums. I was told to sit out in the hall and yelled at for interrupting her class and lying. When I got home, I told my dad what had happened, and he printed off an entire write-up on the subject, and a stack of photos showing the armbands, the German orders to round these, quote, undesirables up, their estimated death tolls, etc. He told me to tell her in front of the class that I had proof and deserved an apology. I did that the next day, and she sent me to the principal's office, who then asked me why I was there. I explained everything to the principal, and she marched me back to her class and told the teacher to apologize, and made her teach the class a lesson on the information I had printed off and cited. Getting a lady fired and evicted after she harassed me for weeks. I've never had such a crazy situation happen to me before. I was with my ex for 2 years. At the 2-year mark, we got into a huge argument and we broke up for 5 months. When we got back together, he swore to me he didn't sleep with anyone else during our break. A few months into getting back together, I get a DM from a girl sending me proof they were talking during our break, slept together, and she's pregnant and he's ghosting her. I was shocked beyond belief and confronted him. He broke down and admitted to sleeping with her, but said she was also with other men, so he has no proof he's the father. I broke up with him. He didn't take it well and started harassing me, coming to my job and apartment unexpectedly, threatening to do bad things to himself if I didn't get back with him. I had to get a restraining order and move. I thought that was behind me, but I guess it's not. In July, the same woman DMs me saying it's my fault that my ex is a deadbeat, because he blames the baby for the reason why we broke up, so he won't take care of it. She sent me the DNA results and court papers for their case. I was confused and didn't reply back. She started sending me other hateful messages, saying that I'm the reason he's a deadbeat. Like, what the f***? I ended up blocking her. Since then, she's made fake pages to harass me in my comments section on Twitter, a burner page to reply to everything I post calling me a deadbeat by association, messaging everyone I follow telling them I'm the reason her son doesn't have his dad in his life, and even messaging my supervisor at work on LinkedIn. I'm close with my supervisor and she knows the situation already, but this was my breaking point. I found her place of employment through her LinkedIn and saw she works at a domestic violence shelter. I drafted up an email with all her harassment and unblocked her to DM her that I will be contacting her boss as she did mine if she doesn't stop the harassment. This was a month ago. She begged me not to, saying she needs this job and said she won't message me on any page ever again. For a week, there was nothing, but her sisters and mom started harassing my friends and family instead, since I'm private. I know they're related to her because they follow her and post her and her child. I was fuming that she thinks she found a loophole, so I emailed everything to her boss. They replied back a day later saying they were shocked and apologetic for this behavior, and it doesn't coincide with their message, so she is no longer an employee. I kind of regret it since this caused them to continue the harassment even more, but I didn't know what else to do. Her mom ends up writing a long message on Facebook, which I don't even use, addressing me by name, saying her daughter is now homeless because she couldn't pay the rent after getting fired, for, quote, calling out the women that made her baby daddy a deadbeat. I do feel bad she's now homeless, and my dad says I should have taken pity on her and just told all my friends and family to block their pages, instead of contacting her job. You know, this seems to be a pretty common scenario in a lot of the situations we read about, where someone is given a lot of chances to stop what they're doing, but they just keep going, and push the other person to the absolute breaking point. But as soon as they actually do something to stand up for themselves, they're immediately met with criticism from other people, saying they took it too far and how could they do that? But how long do you need to stand by and put up with this stuff before it's okay to actually do something about it? This person harassing OP obviously only has herself to blame, but instead she'll blame anything and anyone except for herself, and outright refuse to take any accountability at all for her own situation. while also simultaneously hitting the self-destruct button on her own life. And also as a side note, it's probably a good thing that she's not with that job anymore, because she was in a field that involved working with victims of domestic violence, yet she sounds like an absolute psychopath. And if you're doing something outside of work that's bad enough that your employer would fire you if they found out about it, whose fault is that really? Package thief stole a quote, bugged package. I used to have a few pet lizards that ate mostly roaches that I buy online. One time I had a package of 1,500 roaches delivered to my door. One of my neighbors saw that the package was delivered. When I got home, there was no package, and a few of my neighbors also had missing packages, and one of them showed me video proof that someone had stolen their package. I know someone stole a package filled with roaches, and the company that I ordered from in the past did not mark their packages in any way to show what was inside. I can only imagine what happened back at the thief's house. The package was refunded, so I got a free story to tell. And yes, they were live roaches. Airline agent calls Karen's bluff. Important context. The airline in question doesn't assign seats, but they do have a well-defined orderly boarding process. On the day in question, an air traffic control outage at one airport borked things nationwide. Chains of delayed flights, including ours. Connections messed up, quite a few of them on our plane alone, the whole 9 yards. And Karen is parked at the desk at our gate. She's clearly already asked for and received a manager. She's at the quiet but palpable fury stage. The problem, you see, is that her boarding position is unsatisfactory. She simply must be one of the first people on the plane. No, boarding after the first group isn't acceptable. She demands that they give her a better number. They point out that those spots already belong to other people, and oddly enough, they refuse to boot another passenger from their rightful boarding position for her convenience. So she pulls out what she thinks is the big guns. Fine, cancel the trip, the whole thing. And they did, without blinking an eye. The manager calmly, professionally charged her a cancellation fee, and then disappeared before I could thank him on behalf of the rest of the passengers on our 3.5-hour flight. It was so delicious to watch, definitely the most satisfying thing I have witnessed in a while. I am comfortable assuming that we would have been diverted somewhere so local law enforcement could treat her to an involuntary layover. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button as well for more Reddit stories. So I'm out of here, take care, and I'll see you next time.